lab. My name is Ali Abu Zanjar, and it is my privilege and pleasure on behalf of Sharjah Research and Technology Park to welcome you today in a new episode of our webinar. Today, we are going to talk about cybersecurity, but before I would like to welcome four of our cybersecurity domain experts who will be joining me in today's webinar. During the next 1 hour, we are going to talk about the global cybersecurity threats, the government and technology provider role in protecting us, and also the opportunity of investment and investing in this sector. With us today, Abdulaziz Zar'ouni, a cybersecurity team leader from TRA, Osama Azu'bi, the CTO of Cisco ME and Africa, and the author of the digital distribution book, Ali Suleiman, System Engineer Director, MENA and Turkey region at Infoblox, and Zakaria, Manager System Engineering Gulf Enterprise at Palo Alto Network. Before we dig into the minds of our speaker who helped us in securing our network and securing our life, I would like to give a brief presentation about our park and our role and the socio-economical impact that we are trying to achieve. So I will start by sharing my presentation and a few introduction about our park. So Sharjah Research and Technology Park. His Highness Sheikh Sultan launched the Sharjah Research, Technology and Innovation Park in 2016 to promote the research and development industry tie-up and the innovation enterprise. The park strategy was developed after the American University of Sharjah a board of trustees engaged Fraunhofer to align the existing capability with the budget.
Ali, sorry, you're not sharing screen. We can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry for that. Okay. It's fine.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. In line with the UAE vision to implement a series of bold initiatives across a variety of industries to address the human needs and be the world-leading nation in nurturing Emirati innovators and best talent from across the world. Our vision is based on 4 pillars: is build, generate, catalyze, and invest. We're trying to build innovation ecosystem that promote research and development to generate employment opportunities for the university graduates, catalyze knowledge economy through the execution of strategic development projects, and invest for the future to generate sustainable revenue stream for socio-economical development. Our park is focusing on 6 main areas, which is the water technology, environmental technology, renewable energy, production design, mobility, logistics, and digitalization. We work in 2 streams, a stream dedicated for entrepreneurs and the other is dedicated for investor. So what we are trying to do is trying to help the entrepreneur and researcher that that graduate from the universities, and we help them with the facilities that we provide to move their prototypes into commercialization. And then from the investor point, we are trying to have a free zone, a normal free zone, that where they can come and establish their business, and we offer them with the capability and the tools to have the market and footprint in our region. We also are trying to engage the investor with the research and development capability that we built in our park with time with the university and to utilize the talented and researcher from the university. This is our building that we are going to move to from the next month, inshallah. Currently in our park, this is our new building, which are going to move next month. So in our building, okay, we have underground many anchor projects. For example, we have a Skyway, which is a transportation and logistics system that will be built in Sharjah. We also have the first 3D, the first 3D printed house in our park. We also work with a company in autonomous vehicle project, which will be the transportation system to link all the facilities at the University of Sharjah. and the American University Srti. We also have some project in 3D printing, metal, and we also were looking at the food security segment, where we are having many projects in agriculture. We also a base for CAFU, the fuel transportation truck, where they started their R&D lab over here in our park. So today we are going to talk about the cybersecurity, and it's important because as we know that the security and the IT system in a smart city is all connected. So at the end, we have to make sure that our systems that are not only working in silos, but they are more interconnected together. And we have to make sure of the integrity of the data and the security of the communication link. A small statistics about UAE. I picked this information yesterday from the internet, that UAE is the number 33 of most attacked country from cybersecurity point of view. At June, according to RTA, we received more than 100,000 cyber attack. Okay, and 80% of UAE firms face a cybersecurity attacks in 2019. Now we'll move to Mr. Abdulaziz Zar'ouni from TRA to talk more about the cybersecurity initiative in UAE and why the cybersecurity is important for us in the region.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this amazing workshop or seminar. I would like to share with you my presentation just 1 minute. So let's start. Is it visible? Do you see it? Ali, can you see the presentation? Okay. So yeah, I want to give you I just want to take this, minimize them. Okay. So let's start. Every day we are getting more connected than before, as a government, as families, as countries, as organizations. If we talk about the UAE government, we started like in 2000 with the electronic e-government. And in 2013, there was the initiative from the UAE to start the smart government initiative, which where all the services of the government had to be on the mobile phones, reachable through mobile application, through websites, very easily. So, and as I remember, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum gave a limit of 2 years only for all the governmental entities to move all of their services to the mobile phones. That had a huge rush on many of the governmental entities to convert their services to electronic services, to have them on the mobile, and to get connected to the internet. After a couple of years, we got the rush on cloud as well. With the spread of the cloud services all over the world, it came here as well. Many entities, governmental and non-governmental entities, private sector and others, started moving to the cloud for many reasons. Being it more efficient, cheaper, they will other people will handle the maintenance and management. So we got more connected this way. Many of our data centers moved to the cloud and continued this way. The third surge came here during COVID-19. And in March, many of the entities, the public sector and the private sector, were forced to move to open many of their technologies for the employees to work from home. So that included VPN, that included emails, many systems that used to be within the organization were allowed to be accessible from outside. So we got more and more connected. So through all these years, whenever something happens, we get more connected, and that's the fact. That's what's going on in the future. We are getting more connected, especially to the cloud, being it private cloud, governmental cloud, or the public cloud available outside. That gives us so many abilities, so many functionalities that we are not available before. But with this, we are getting much more cyber crimes. The criminals are seeing this as a heaven for them. They can access many things that we are not able to do that before. And that's not just because we are moving to the cloud or we are using the e-services, but because of maybe poor implementation of these services. Many of the entities under the rush, especially now with the COVID-19, under the rush of that, they had to get their services up in 1 week. They had maybe to sacrifice some of the security aspects or not to check them, not to have them in mind. And that opened some holes, if you would say, to them for hackers or for cyber criminals to get into their entities. Because of that, during this pandemic, I just got these statistics for you. From March to May, 150 organization data got leaked online. I think during the last month only, you would every day or another, you would hear about 100 million, 50 million, 2 million, 30 million customer data getting leaked out online from all over the world, as well as the attacks getting increased on the health sector. I would say that maybe because of the criminals seeing that this is a very sensitive place or infrastructure. If you attack it, they will have, in many cases, to pay you back, especially with the ransomware cases, because they will not, they cannot afford to get their systems down for even 1 minute. So we got an 150% increase in cyber attacks on the health sector from January to March. That's not in the UAE, that's worldwide I'm talking here. But when you come to the UAE, we have witnessed as an AECR a huge increase in cyber attacks or attempted cyber attacks that AECR stopped on the federal government. So in January, we got around 20,000 attempted attacks that the team stopped. But in June, recently, as Mr. Ali has mentioned, we reached 103,000 attempted attacks that we stopped. Even the incident, the real incident that happened, were in January 200 something, and now it's over 400. So we are getting so many attacks coming in, so many sophisticated attacks as well. So with this, many entities, being governmental entities, private entities, are understanding the issue and the impact of the cyber attacks. The attacks are not, and cybersecurity is just not a ledger thing. Now, this is a necessity because of that, because what I told you, when you get your data leaked, your customer base leaked online, you lose many things. You lose your reputation, especially if you are a private sector. You will lose finance, being hit by the customer leaving you, or by your reputation being affected, or by your services getting stopped for a couple of hours, a couple of days as well, or a couple of weeks sometimes. So the impact of cyber attacks is severe now. Everyone is seeing that, and because of this, there is an investment. Now people, leaders in organization are getting to understand how important cybersecurity is. Not as before. In many entities, you would get the leaders or the top leaders of the entity saying, okay, we are committed to cybersecurity. We want to protect the privacy, but not many entities really give substantial implementations or resources for the cybersecurity teams. But because of the issues that's going on, especially that they are now being affecting the infrastructure of the countries, even the leader of the policy makers in the countries are understanding what's going on. There are many cases around us here in the GCC, in the Arab world, and even in the world, where power plants got stopped, where electricity plants stopped for like almost 1 day, letting over 250,000 people being out of electricity for some time. So there are many issues that are affecting the infrastructure as well as the services, and we are starting to understand day after another how important cybersecurity is. And because of this, let's talk about cybersecurity. When you say what is cybersecurity, I copy-pasted the definition from the ITU just to mention something. I'll just read it for you here. You can see it. What cybersecurity is? It is a collection of tools, policies, security concepts, security safeguard, guidelines, risk management approaches, action, training, best practices, assurance and technology that can be used to protect the cyber environment and organization and user assets. So here we are talking about protecting data, information, systems, application, network, and the people, the human as well, all under the cybersecurity umbrella. Why did I put this definition here? To point out that there are some opportunity here under each one of these that could be taken as in startups. So because of all the issues going on, the investment is increasing year by year. In 2018, according to a statistic from McKinsey, they mentioned that the cybersecurity market in the UAE is 1.8 billion in AED and 1.8 billion dirhams. So that's a huge market, and it's getting increasing. And I'm sure because of this year and all the things that happen, it's going to increase exponentially. But the news here, I'm not saying good or bad news, the news here and the opportunity is that most of the entities, governmental entities and private sector, are relying mostly on global cyber security service providers because there are not many, there are few, if you would say, cyber security service providers in the UAE, local ones, created homegrown here, created from the UAE. So because of this, I'm saying that there is an opportunity for new leaders here, opportunity for companies, for startups to start here in the UAE to create local startups in cybersecurity, being it in consultation, where you would talk about creating strategies and cybersecurity departments, where many entities going on now creating their departments of cybersecurity, needing consultants, being it auditors, being it as well service providers when you talk about systems, applications, penetration testing, doing all kind of testing as well, and training providers, giving awareness to the employees. Now, this is one of the things that many of the leaders were not taking care of or not taking seriously. And now, especially within COVID-19, where many of the attacks became, or mostly were phishing attacks, trying to trick people or employees to open some links or download some attachments, and then getting into the network of the entity, they understand how important awareness is. So many of the entities, especially even for AECERT, we as AECERT, the TRA, provide free cybersecurity awareness sessions. We saw a surge, a spike in requests for the cybersecurity sessions. Now people are understanding how important it is to raise awareness within the employees and to train the experts. So if you are a specialist as well, there's an opportunity for you being a training provider and awareness provider into this, creating guidelines, programs, and providing awareness itself. And not only the UAE, by the way, we are talking about a region. The UAE is a hub, technical hub for the whole MENA region. And when you talk about cybersecurity, the same issues here apply to all the countries. So a homegrown company, a company starting from here, could tap into the region as well, to the other countries within the region, to get over 18 billion AED, as per the statistics from McKinsey in 2018. 18 billion spend was 18 billion dirhams was spent on cybersecurity within the MENA region. So there is a market there as well that you can tap into, not only the UAE. So that's in general what I wanted to just say, and to complement that with something. There is the strategy now, the National Cybersecurity Strategy that was launched last year by the TRA, which has one pillar only for the startups, and encouraging all the entities and working with them. That we are doing that now, working with all the entities within the UAE, all the incubator, accelerators, and others, to include cybersecurity there, to encourage cybersecurity, to have competition for cybersecurity potential leaders, startup leaders. So that's there as well to help you in doing this. And there are companies going on. I myself know a couple of my colleagues. I'm not talking here about big companies having big investment. I'm talking about startups, people like you and me, some one or two people, persons starting, going to the accelerators like the SRTI and the ICT Fund and the Khalifa program and many other programs available to start their programs or their ideas as well. So what I'm saying here is that there are successful stories that I'm aware of a couple of our colleagues who were working in TRA or working in some other entities who have experience in cybersecurity and started their business, and their business went very well to the extent that they left their governmental job, and now they are full-time on their business, running their companies on training, on cybersecurity awareness, on regulation, on auditing, on providing services and systems and application to entities, on doing penetration testing. So there are so many available slots, so many available opportunities for you to take. So why not take the chance and start now? Now is the time. Now, especially, that's a very hot topic. Let's go on and let's start. That's what I wanted to share with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Abdulaziz. Thank you for the presentation. I think there is a lot of opportunity when it comes to the cybersecurity and the increased number of attacks that we face today. And I think with the new technology and Industry 4.0 and the new innovation that we are facing every day, or the new development that we are facing every day, we have to make sure of our data and security and the network. Just to mention, like last February, we hosted a forum which called the Women in Technology. Okay, and the output of this Women and Technology Forum is we provided a supporting package for women to invest in technology. And to not underestimate the power of women in technology, we want to move to Cisco, where in 1984, it was founded by a business woman, which called Sanda Lerner, okay? And they started as a networking company, and they evolved toward the security. So maybe the author of the book, Digital Disruption, Mr. Osman Al-Za'bi, the CTO in Cisco, can provide us more insight about the cybersecurity in our region.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, dear Ali, for this great introduction. It is absolutely my pleasure to be with you here today. I'm hoping that you are able to see my slides. Indeed, there isn't a better time to talk about this great topic. I think the cybersecurity is probably one of the most critical topics of all times, and we've been talking about it actually for quite some time. A couple of years ago, we have done a survey. More than 83% of executives stated that cybersecurity is really the biggest challenge that they are facing when it comes to digital transformation. However, with the recent pandemic, the very unfortunate event of the pandemic, it actually magnified the issue and the challenge, but at the same time, it created an opportunity. Just about a week ago, I received an email from one of the financial organization whom I shall not name, that I have an account with, for which they told me that they faced a breach, a security breach, about 4 years ago, and that my personal data might have been leaked. However, they are not aware of any misuse of that data, and they gave me some guidance and instructions on what to do. This is really very interesting time. Over the next 15 minutes, I would like to shed some light with you, generally speaking, about what we are seeing in the market, but also I want to expand a little bit on the topic of the cyber security. Number one, the world is really experiencing the highest rate of change. This was the case pre-COVID-19, and it is absolutely more so post-COVID-19. This change is really fueled by a lot of things that are happening around us, but also driven by a lot of mega disruptors, or what we call the disruptive technologies, like artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, IoT, extended reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, cloud. We have heard from the previous speaker, Ahmed, around the the cloud and the usage of the cloud and the move to the cloud, 5G and Wi-Fi 6. Those and many more are many of the mega technology disruptors that are not only making the change, but also accelerating the change that we are experiencing. Every one of you, whether you are today a student in the university, or you are an IT professional or a business decision maker, you are experiencing the pressure that those disruptors are causing to the organizations, but also forcing us to change. If we look at the world today, the world is one global single fabric. And that's really, on one side, it is creating some challenges. But on another side, it is creating massive and tremendous opportunity. If you think about today, the internet is a medium, a fabric that is bringing more than 4 human together on one single fabric, and it has created tremendous opportunity, which I want to talk about that. However, that is actually increasing. What we managed to achieve over the past 3 decades, surpassed by magnitudes of what we have seen over the past century, from development, from growth, from quality of life. We believe that now we have unprecedented opportunities, equal opportunities in the globe. However, what is coming is way bigger than what we have seen. And when we look a little bit closer at the UAE, we see that UAE, when it looks at the digital indicators, it's one of those countries that actually leading the change globally. We are almost at 100% of internet connectivity within the country, but also when we look at mobile penetration as well as mobile broadband, it's one of the most advanced countries in the world. These are some of the digital indicators that are being measured globally, but also are being used to indicate how digitally the society is, and therefore the opportunity is tremendous. But let's pause for a second. The more we connect, the more the service attack increase. Hence, the numbers that we heard also from my previous colleagues when they spoke about the incremental of those attacks. And that's definitely logical and explainable, because historically, when you have a smaller attack, all these hackers have this limited area to launch their attacks against. The more you connect, the more you use the technology. Now that service attack is becoming bigger, and therefore, again, from one side, it is creating a challenge. From another side, it is definitely creating an opportunity. Explosion data is actually fueling the artificial intelligence research and development. If we look at that data, where it's coming from, it is really, these numbers are staggering material in terms of, the sensors and the devices and the people. If you just look at this 5 terabyte per person that is actually being generated, more than we can ever think about, the explosion of data and the exponential growth of the generation of data. Once again, it's that balance. From one side, it is creating a challenge, and we can talk about that. From another side, it is creating a tremendous opportunity, because it is fueling the artificial intelligence research and development that is really contributing tremendously to the enhancement of the quality of life and to the introduction of services. Furthermore, the life of employees, the life of workers, and even on our personal life, it is really changing, because today we are really using tremendous amount of applications, and our lives has changed. However, the pandemic came where it changed everything. Some of the companies went from 0 remote work to about almost 100% remote work in no time, because when we went into the lockdown, all of these organizations, public sector, private sector, as well as all other organizations had to act on speed and scale. Can you imagine when historically we used to struggle and a lot of consideration and design thinking and design workshops and architecture workshop and technology consideration just to see whether or not we can enable the remote work. However, one unfortunate event really forced everybody to move at speed and scale. Those who were on the journey of digital transformation were at a very competitive advantage because they were ready to adopt and move forward. Those who were not, unfortunately, they struggled. The great news is that they were able to move a bit faster. We at Cisco believe that technology should work to service the business outcome, whether it is the connection of the patient with the doctor to take a medical consultation, or connecting the student with the instructor, teacher, professor to get educated, or whether a person to get, to speak to a family member. We believe technology should be brought in a way that is simplified, in a way that is secure, enabling any device on any network to be connected to any application on any network at any time, securely and efficiently. That's what we at Cisco believe the technology should serve. We call it the multi-domain architecture, enabling any person using any device, connecting on any network to really reach any application at any time securely and efficiently. We at Cisco, because we were using the technology, we did not struggle much. Actually, before even the official lockdown in countries, we moved our entire workforce from working from offices to actually work from home. However, you can imagine every one of you have a lot of knowledge and education and experience when it comes to security education. Today, I have more than 5 devices at home. I have a video device that's sitting here right on my desk. I have my laptop. I have a tablet. I have actually I have a tablet and 2 personal phones, one Android and one iOS. All of those are connected to the network. They need to be secured. They need to be efficient, and they need to really provide the right access at the right time. That's the capability we expect from technology. For that, we use 4 pillars to our strategy. The number 1 pillar that is critical and is securing the data. It's not only about network security. It's really securing the data, because we believe that technology, the right solutions must enable securing the data wherever it is. Because as many of you know, today data is anything but centralized. So therefore, me securing the data center, which is important, me securing the application, which is important, me securing the network, which is important, is not sufficient. It is necessary, but not sufficient. What is sufficient is I need to secure the data wherever it is, while it is in transit and at rest. That's the one that we want to zoom in and talk to you about is security. However, the rest of the pillars, which enable us to use multi-domain architecture to power intelligent workplace, to enable people wherever their function is to conduct their work efficiently, delivering on business outcome, reimagining the applications and how applications behave, whether they are on public cloud, private cloud, or consumed software as a service, transforming the infrastructure where it is in campus on the wide area network through software-defined network using 5G, Wi-Fi 6, that end-to-end spectrum that provides the capability at speed and scale to connect anything from the most intelligent and critical devices to the least intelligent and the least critical devices like sensors and actuators and so on. That is enabling really connecting anything at any time to reach the right application securely and effectively. And finally, is really empowering the users. Today, there are probably hundreds of users today. We are gathered over a medium that allow us to communicate and benefit from technology. zooming in more about security. Over the past 4 years, way before the pandemic hit, we realize while we are digitally transforming across every sector, education, healthcare, retail banking, transportation, smart cities, manufacturing, agriculture, oil and gas, you name it, every organization, every industry is transforming and is being disrupted. And we know that the biggest requirement and biggest top of mind for every decision maker is cybersecurity. If we get cybersecurity right, we're going to be able to really digitally transform at speed never seen before. To Cisco, over the past 4 years or so, we have invested significantly in cybersecurity. We have invested in research and development. However, we also partner with, in the United Arab Emirates, we have what we call the Innovation and Experience Center, and I'll talk more about that towards the closure of my talk. That Innovation and Experience Center is really enabling us to bring the community of entrepreneurship, the innovators, ecosystem partners, local partners, to actually innovate at speed and scale, because we believe security is way bigger than one company. We believe that layered security is required. Local visibility, global visibility, bringing that layered defense and defense in depth to enable that if a device is connected, not only it needs to be secured, but it must participate in security. We are using artificial intelligence and data analytics to actually do in security what humans cannot do. For example, we had a breakthrough in security through artificial intelligence. We solved the problem that historically we could not solve, where basically the traffic, if it's encrypted, you cannot inspect it without decrypting it. But if you decrypt it, then you lose the reason why you encrypt it. However, through artificial intelligence and the gather of data, now we are able to use that data analytics to inspect encrypted traffic without decrypting it. And we can achieve more than 98% accuracy. We call that technology encrypted traffic analytics, ETA. And now this is only one of the innovation we managed to achieve, breakthrough, which allow us to take security to a whole new level. Advanced malware protection everywhere, every device, whether it's a handheld all the way to the server and everything in between, AMP everywhere, on the network, on the devices, on the endpoints, enabling us to really inspect and secure again at speed and scale, bringing that end to end, from web security to email security to network security to endpoint security, all of that combined in fully integrated manner, and having the true end-to-end security and visibility, following and securing data wherever it is, enabling every user using any device at any time on any network to reach any application securely and efficiently. I want to close, and this is my final slide. I want to close by talking more about innovation, hence creating the opportunity. Innovation is DevNet is the platform that Cisco created, where we brought all of our technology, the technology we use from products and applications and software around security, but also around everything else we provide. And we opened that to the tech community, bringing entrepreneurs and innovators to join hand and innovate. A, they will benefit and they will get tremendous opportunity, but B, they will be able to accelerate the pace of innovation to solve the problem. And we have that center, which was one of its kind globally. It's called the Innovation Experience Center. It's based in the Knowledge Village in Dubai, in which we have been able to work with some of the tech community and startup that now have reached globally. So I invite you all to join us on this journey, which allow us to accelerate the pace of innovation. With that, I thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best and the greatest, and I hope you are all safe, you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Osman, for your presentation, and it was a really nice presentation. Security really, it's a big matter now, and everybody's talking about security. And as you can see, with the data proliferation that we have right now, and like interdependent problem that we want to solve through the communication and the data from one domain to another domain, it is important to make sure of the 3 V's of the data: security, veracity of the data, and we have to make sure that the communication channel are really secure. So different industry can utilize this data to build a new innovation or a new solution. Now, when we are talking right now, we will move to blocks. Okay, thank you for the presentation. Okay, welcome in our presentation to our webinar today. The traditional network and security model is no longer adequate in today's world of digital transformation, and to move to the cloud. Okay, we have many and new challenges in this area. So what you have to say about moving toward the cloud and the security? Oh, I believe Ali is not with us right now.
Are you addressing? I'm sorry, I didn't hear my name, so I.
Yeah, no. The question was to know, like, with the adoption of the cloud.
I thought
business.
you're still addressing Mr. Osama, which let me make a comment here, Mr. Osama. Great presentation. I loved your presentation. I loved what you had to say. But so let me just kind of briefly share my presentation first, and then I will answer your question if you don't mind. So share. Okay, so you asked me about the digital transformation and moving to the cloud. I believe Mr. Osama kind of addressed a lot of those points. So a lot of organizations today are already in their journey into moving into a digital transformation initiative. They have been and using technologies like SD-WAN, like cloud deployment, orchestration, leveraging the power of the IoT devices, and software as a service, as a revolution into accessing application easily from the cloud. So the question is, why are they all organizations doing this? Obviously, this is being done to better serve their customers and to empower their employees and respond quickly to the market opportunities that exist today. So as businesses invest in these new tools to digest their operations and to move to the cloud, so they can better compete, and the legacy world that we are in today, that we were in the data centers and the interlocks of the branches that we used to before, connecting through things like MPLS is really changing. And this is why the network parameter today is that has been used previously is no longer something that we can depend on, and is dissolving quickly. So I hope this answers your question in a nutshell. So let me begin my presentation here. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, Ali, we can hear you. Yes, Ali, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought I lost connection here.
No. The network is secure.
So today I just want to kind of give you an agenda and discuss this agenda, the traditional architecture, and tomorrow's solution. What is a compelling security strategy? What is Zero Trust is playing as an architecture, and what are those essential components? And then what is Infoblox and how Infoblox really, plays a role in not only in zero trust, but in many aspects of cybersecurity. So first, let me kind of introduce myself. I think I should have started with that. My name is Ali Slayman. I am working today with Infoblox as a technical director for Middle East and Africa, and including Turkey. So traditionally, the traditional architecture, and I wanted to go into a little bit more granular view of what Mr. Osama talked about. And that view is that the traditional architecture that we know about is no longer the right thing for organizations, if you will. So traditionally, we used to connect through MPLS connectivity in our branches into our headquarters. Our employees working in the branches, they needed to access applications in the cloud like Azure, AWS, Office 365 in as a SaaS application. We depended on the security that is present in the data center. This is how we went backhauling into the data center and then into the cloud. This architecture is no longer an architecture that can support today's world. And the digital transformation and the speed that we're moving into, and Mr. Osama addressed some of those aspects. COVID-19, in my opinion, or no COVID-19, this architecture was moving at the speed of light. And I think COVID-19 kind of pushed organizations into this new architecture, and that everybody is speeding up to change or to make a change fast so they can accommodate the new way of doing business. Okay, so from an Infoblox perspective, we've always viewed the world in that way. The only thing that happened differently in COVID-19, in my opinion, is it's kind of expedited what Infoblox has been saying all along. So we moved from that traditional architecture into an architecture that included the technologies like the SD-WAN, SDN technology, where branches are reaching out into the cloud directly without having to backhaul into the data center. But if you add all of those devices that Mr. Osama also talked about, all those BIOD and IoT devices, each individual having, from like 1 to 10 devices at their, being able to access those applications being deployed into the cloud. The internet becomes the fiber that we operate in. And that creates a challenge actually for organizations, because now the access points for those cyber criminals are much wider. They have many different ways to actually attack your network, and your network has been distributed all over the place in many different ways, whether you keep data centers on-prem, or you push your data center into the cloud and do some virtualization in the data centers and then in the cloud, and then your branches and so on and so forth. So you have expanded your network and your assets became everywhere. So your security risk has become much higher, and your usability is lower, and your visibility is lower, right? So we need to kind of address that kind of challenge, and because of all distribution, the cyber criminals now have the ability to attack you, because now you no longer have that borderless, have that border or parameter that you're hugging and you're protecting. Now your network is everywhere, and you need, cyber criminals have many ins and outs of your network. So how do we address that? That's one of the challenges that we need to understand. And with that comes many other challenges, like your siloed security tools that you might be deploying. We talk about your security stack that you traditionally have, right? And how you can deal with each one of those, and how that security stack is not talking to each other, and they don't inform each other of threats. We have too many alerts that we worry about, right? Too much noise in our network. We don't know what is the priority of where we put our efforts. We have cybersecurity skill shortage, where we're not able to find the skill sets, and we have many different tools that we have to worry about, and not all those skill sets exist in one or two individuals. And then the manual investigations that we have to go through, where to remediate an issue or incidents of compromise, it takes us sometimes, days, weeks, what have you. We need to find a better way to actually tackle those and remediate much quicker. So organizations have to think differently, and definitely zero trust is a game changer. And I mentioned zero trust because ultimately a lot of organizations have to move in that direction. It's not a switch that you can flip. It's a journey, actually. It's a journey. And we have to start kind of address this, at the speed of this cyber criminals they're doing. So why zero trust? Because it gives us a much more, it gives us much more protection than the traditional way of doing things. So we must minimize that risk and that reconnaissance and the cyber criminal ability to penetrate different segments of our network, or our network as a whole when we have a traditional architecture. So what does that entail? I think Mr. Osama mentioned data, right? Because data is the currency of today's world. So the first thing that we have to think about is our data and where our data is flowing, whether it's at rest or not, okay? And the other part is that we have to understand how we can segment our network to give us the agility, to give us the ability to protect different segments of our network based on the criticality of our data, so that if we're attacked in one segment, the other segments are not affected, or you can delay that attack. No security is 100%, but at least if you do the calculation, you can tell that with a zero trust model, you're able to protect yourself much more significantly higher, right? And then with all of this, and with the distribution of our network all over the place, we need to be able to have that visibility and monitoring capability. And of course, the more we automate, the better we become in a better place, right? Because we have limited resources. We have a better way of actually provisioning, to support our customers, and we're able to keep our business running much smoother. So with that, the zero trust model calls for a different technology and capabilities. One of those capabilities that I want to focus on today, and I've spoken about a few of them, is like the SIM solutions and the login ability and the threat analytics and machine learning. And the other one is the foundational security. And this is where actually Infoblox play a big role in that part, where it is a foundational security start with the DNS domain name systems, and you're able to provide or leverage, if you will, the DNS data and information and threat intelligence to your advantage as an organization, where you have the ability to take that information and understand where is the threat coming from. You have the ability to use that information, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. So with every communication DNS is involved. So what's important here is that DNS can be leveraged not only by mystifying the IP address, if you will, but also knowing a lot about the communication that's happening, knowing about which VLAN you're coming from, where's the location, what is that, who's the user is, what is this user is trying to do, right? What applications they're trying to access, which account they're using to access that information. All of this information is that contextual information becomes very, very relevant into the technologies like zero trust technology. So you can have better control and control the access of that user into what applications they're supposed to get into, right? Even if they're not malicious. So in Infoblox, we have, we've been working, and currently we do have, on-prem or even cloud native technology that enable our customers to basically get that type of visibility and automation, and in addition to the protection. And with all of this, they can also reduce their costs, right? And I mentioned the challenge about, working in silos. From an Infoblox perspective, we believe that, no security is an ultimate security, right? So we have to work with many technologies and many vendors out there that are innovating. Vendors including Cisco, vendors including, Palo Alto, vendors like Splunk technology. All of these vendors, we have the technology to integrate with, to create that visibility and to create that extra protection that today's organizations need as they transform their networks. So if you take an example of integrating with, for example, Cisco ISE, we're able to trigger Cisco ISE to basically, scan a device that is rogue, right? So that it's not vulnerable no longer, or isolate it and remediate that issue and then bring it back into the network. So with Infoblox orchestration, that type of contextual information is shared and is very important. And that's what we call our next level networking. So in summary, we believe organization needs to boost their security operations to counter those cyber criminals. And we do that by leveraging the foundational security, which is, part of the core service that every organization needs to have, which is DNS and DHCP and IP address management, and sharing that with the rest of the ecosystem, in collaborating with the rest of the vendors from an innovation perspective, and sharing that intelligence, and ultimately improving the ability of organizations to respond and remediate issues much quicker. Thank you so much for the time that you've given me today. It's a pleasure for me to be among such panelists, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ali, for your presentation. It was a really nice presentation, and we have some question at the end of the session, and we hope that you will stay and join us in answering these questions. Now we are going to move to Zakaria from Palo Alto. But before we move, I have this term which is called cyber tsunami. Are we ready for the cyber tsunami?
Yeah, actually, the cyber tsunami is accelerating. It started already. And the COVID-19 pandemic time showed that we really need to secure our digital environment while the digital transformation is happening. And as you can see also, there are development in the artificial intelligence and using the machine learning in the cybersecurity, but you can make sure that the hackers, they started to use it before us. and we need to all the time to catch up and fight the hackers with the tools they use. At least you cannot fight with people against the machine. So this is something ongoing, and we need to understand how we can leverage these technologies against the hackers.
Thank you. So what do you have for us today?
Yeah, let me share my presentation first. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen. It is strange. All the cybersecurity companies come from San Francisco, yeah? Or from California?
It is, yeah, California based. It's the headquarters is based in Santa Clara. Yes, and the name is Palo Alto Networks. Is a place close to Santa Clara. It's nice, a nice small city.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, good. So yeah, thank you for inviting me for this good webinar. I enjoyed the presentation so far, and we have, of course, matching, overlapping topics. I think it will help to emphasize the importance of cybersecurity and how we can together make our digital life secured. My name is Zekeriya Eskocak. I'm the manager of system engineering team in the Gulf Enterprise. I would like to share with you this information is already mentioned in the previous slides, but when I was looking for the people who is making decisions, the expert of cybersecurity, what they expect in the future as a big risk. And I realized that cyber attacks, the disruption of operations and infrastructure risk is the fifth biggest risk expected in 2020, and pandemic time, COVID-19, I think is just showed that it is accelerating. It is, as you said, the tsunami is coming, it's accelerating. But why it is happening? Why the security is being the main concern of the society? We are experiencing digital transformation. There is ongoing transformation for the private sector, for the public sector. In order to be competitive, you need to transfer your business to digital environment. In order to serve better in the government or in the organizations, you need to do this transformation. And also, Mr. Abdulaziz, as he stated in his presentation, in the news, I read this about this initiative. The UAE government, in 2 years, 50% of the government services will be converted to digital platform. This will bring very good opportunity for us to utilize the services in a better way and in a safe way. But in the meantime, I can see there are the requirements when you are doing this digital transformation. Many of the experts and organizations, they agree on top 4 things. I will not focus on all of them, but I can give you some insights about clear strategy and cooperation between the departments in the organization. You can see so many tools around you, so many applications around you to help you to do this transformation. But if you don't have a strategy, you may get lost in this transformation. And it's very true for security. An average enterprise may have more than 40 different devices in their organization in their infrastructure, the security infrastructure. And you may end up in disconnected, not integrated products, and you may get lost in what you are doing. The processes and complying with the regulations and rules also is important topic. I had an experience just before the COVID-19, couple of days. I went to the operator to transfer the phone number to my daughter. We did all the things and we signed all the papers digitally, and we went back home, and the COVID-19 pandemic time started, everywhere was closed. And then we received a call from the operator that you are missing one document. You need to provide the identity. You need to go in person. And how we can go in person? We uploaded the scanned document and we called the call center. We tried everything, but we couldn't convince them that we are the people who provided this. And we ended up with blocking the number during the COVID-19 time. It is really, frustrating for a customer to have, a half working process that may stuck in something that blocked the service and failed the service. The third item is effectiveness and the good user experience. Nobody will use the platform if they get lost in the process, in the flow, or if they have bad experience. But the final and maybe the most important one, building the trust and ensuring it. So think about your money in the bank. If you don't trust your bank, how you can leave the money in the bank? Or when you get in a plane, if you don't trust the systems behind and running in the behind scenes, if you don't trust the company who is running the operation, how can you get in the flight? Can you be comfortable when flying? No. So we need to make sure what we provide to our customers, to the society, we make sure that service is trustful, and we need to keep that trustfulness. So what are the challenges when building the trust during this transformation time? We can see three main challenges here. One of them is, of course, the network boundaries are expanded. So the attack surface become larger. As much as you have the different entry points, you may have more exposure to the hackers, and you may have attacks entering from that point. For example, I will go through that in the next slide, but maybe 20 years ago, we used to have only one network connection to the internet and a firewall in the gateway that protect us from the untrusted network. But now we have so many things, including the public cloud, that we need to take care of. The second challenge that we see is the volume and the speed and sophistication level of the attacks are threatening the organizations. Again, we see in the news so many different hacking stories, and I will touch on that as well. And the third one is the security operation is struggling. So if you have so many different products, even they are great products, you have so many people operating your security infrastructure, the amount of the alerts and the amount of the logs that you need to work on and to correlate, it doesn't scale if you don't have the right solutions, if you don't have the right strategy. Let me go to the network expansion issue. If you look at the average organization or enterprise network, you may see the headquarter and the apps. There are apps sitting and sorted through the headquarter. You may see the branches may have some apps locally or need to access to HQ. And you may see the data centers, multiple data centers at different physical places or in the public cloud through Azure or Google Cloud, AWS, and many other options. You may see the applications resides in a hosted environment. We call them software as a service. And accessing these applications from the HQ or the branch or inside the data center or from your home, we talk a lot. We know what's going on during this COVID-19 pandemic time. 100% of the work shifted to work remotely. So we need to access to our applications from everywhere, and we need to host our applications based on the business requirement, and also to be competitive and more agile to scale. But such infrastructure is complex, and the user experience is not good, because you may have different tools, different applications, or different configuration sets to let your users accessing your applications. And of course, the security gap increases as the number of entry points is increased. The volume of attacks, if you go back 20 years, you could talk about a simple one spread around the world, and also, of course, it became the headlines at that time. But we see the shift from a simple worm Trojan to a ransomware that making money bigger than any large enterprise, any customer. I know 3 or 4 years ago I read a report talking about the crypto business. The cybercrime volume and the cost was $320 million in only 6 months. This is the money they made through crypto. And now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, artificial intelligence and automated attacks are a big threat for us, and we cannot fight with the human with them. Morphing and spreading of the attacks also is a big challenge. You can see here, if the attack starts from somewhere, in 5 minutes, the number of instances go to up to 10,000, and in 30 minutes it goes up to 50,000. And now we can talk about the seconds, and we need to prevent the attacks not in minutes but also almost in real time. This is one of the requirements. The security teams, why they do struggle? As I said, too much noises coming from different devices, from different applications. Too many logs are created, and too many products are being used to build the security infrastructure, but they don't integrate, they don't talk to each other, and this creates complexity and needs manual repetitive actions. So if you normally need 5 people in your security operation team, and you try to scale to 10 people, you will not address the problem. You need something else. You need to think differently to solve this issue. So our solution, from Palo Alto Networks perspective, our approach, we try to simplify the things first. The complexity is enemy of the security. What we can do is we can create and build a network that allow us to create consistent security policy across all the organization. If you have a security policy applied to set of users or user groups, it should work if they are mobile, or if they are at a headquarters, or if they are sitting in the data center. And it should work also if they are going to the headquarter application or going to the SaaS application. So what we built here is we made the security and network layers in the cloud that can be served as a service. So you have all the connections, as you can see in this diagram. Everything is connected to this network and security layer, and can be managed from one center, and is able to build a security policy consistent for everybody, for every application. We call this Prisma Access solution. For the evolving and increasing number of attacks, we built a system that let us to integrate all our products and assist them with the machine learning capability. We collect the data. There are different products. You see the names here. I don't want to go in details with each one, but the topic here is we have the visibility across all the network at the endpoint, and we collect all the data, and we do the analytics, understand the attacks, and prevent them. If we can prevent them inline, we prevent them inline. If there is something happening by time, which is possible, you may not be hacked in one session. The hackers are smart, and they don't just stick on one method. They spread the time, and they spend their time in building an attack, a sophisticated one. So you need to understand what is going on in your network by time and everywhere, at the endpoint, at the gateway, and the cloud. And once you identify the things happening, once you make sure there is a problem in your network, you need to respond to that one. And the response cannot be manual, because in average, an organization may have 500 events in a day. If you have 500 people, yeah, maybe. But today, 500 people may scale, tomorrow may not. So it's not possible to find 500 people in a security team. So we need automation. We need to make the repetitive task done by the machines, and therefore we can fight against the AI-assisted attacks in this way. As a summary, I want just to summarize the whole solutions that we gather to build a consistent security infrastructure for the organizations, for the enterprises. So there are three main pillars. The first one is secure the enterprise, which is based on our next-gen firewall in the data center, at the edge, in the public cloud. We have the same solution running the same operating system and managed through the same management system. Even we are now able to do the firewalling inside the containers. And the world's first machine learning based prevention on the next gen firewall is provided by Srti by Palo Alto Networks. And second pillar is securing the cloud. So we embrace the cloud, and we know that going to the cloud is very important to complete the transformation, the digital transformation. But the cloud needs security more than the physical networks, and there are different tools that we consolidated under Prisma to secure the cloud, starting from network protection, going to visibility, or to be compliant and generate the compliance report for the cloud. And the third pillar is securing the future. This family is called Cortex, and this is where we have the AI and the machine learnings. This is the heart of the AI and the machine learnings. We gather the information from the endpoint, from the gateway, from third parties. We leverage that third-party logs as well, and we consolidate them in our environment, a service called Data Lake, and we process and do the analytics and serve all our solutions from endpoint to the firewall to the cloud to protect our customers from the sophisticated attacks. This is all what I want to share with you. Thank you. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to reach me now or maybe later through my contact information.
Thank you, Zakaria, for your presentation. I believe cybersecurity is a really hectic task. We have to think about the application, we have to think about the operating system, hardware, network, and now we have to think about the cloud. But it is what it is. So fine, because we don't have really much time. I have just one question from one of the participants over here. And I believe either Ali or Zakaria could answer it for us or help us to answer it. People are saying how a small startup can survive in front of the big tech giant in the area of cybersecurity.
So you want me to answer, or Ali? Ali, okay?
Yes, either. Anybody can comment, like 1 minute each or 2 minutes each.
The question was, what is a small starter?
Startups, yes. How they can survive in front of the big giants in cybersecurity.
I'm not sure I understand the question fully, but if you're asking me, how does an organization as a business survive in front of giant in the cybersecurity?
Yeah, it's a startup because what we are trying to do is to encourage people to invest in cybersecurity. Okay, right. But what they are saying, you know, we are facing a giant, like we have Cisco, Palo Alto, or we have Infoblox. Okay, how we can compete with them?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's all about innovation, right? It's all about your ability to innovate in a way that you can support organizations to protect themselves, right? So, you know, as a vendor startup, right? You know, if you have an idea of some sort that helps organizations protect themselves better, in line with the trends that are happening and in support with the rest of the security community, then that's one way to actually survive. That's one way to make your organization, you know, be, you know, needed, right, if you will. So any organization that finds a need in your technology and in your innovation will go for it. Obviously, you have to, you know, this is a, you know, kind of challenging question here, but obviously you have to have the right setup in terms of, you know, marketing and on all of this. So marketing and you know, have a business model that supports your ability to sell your product. But you know, we have seen startups start from not almost very from the garage, right? You know, and they have become giants today. So there's no limits to technology in terms of, you know, if it's the right technology and the right innovation to take your organization from being a startup to being a giant.
May I have some comments also here?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think, yeah, as also Ali said, innovation and being disruptive is very important here. And if you look at Palo Alto Networks' recent acquisitions, they are all you know, startup companies that had disrupted the market. When we look for a technology or acquisition, we don't go to giant or big organizations or companies. We look for the innovative, disruptive security, cybersecurity companies, because they have different ideas, and I think they should not hesitate from being disruptive and being in the market. I'm sure they will be seen by the giant companies, and they will be, you know, maybe part of that, or it's not necessary to compete, but it could be also a complementary solution.
Yeah. So if you look at like Infoblox, right? I mean, we're 20 years old, right? And we still operate like a startup. We're still innovating like a startup, and especially in the cybersecurity space. And we're making a disruption in that space, and we're making an impact to our customers. And this is why customers come to us. This is why they want us to come into their environment and you know, leverage the existing core technology that we provide from a cybersecurity perspective. So
yes, indeed, because really innovative idea really need innovative security solutions. So thank you all for participating with us today, and sorry for keeping you late. We are over our session by 30 minutes, but thank you all. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube to receive our newest episode of every series that we publish. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.